Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I pay homage to my teacher, Lukswami Nwanse, who teaches us the Supreme Buddha's teachings out of compassion. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Any questions?
I was just wondering about, yeah, I understand perceptions. I think I understand what a perception is versus contact, but I'm just trying to understand like a thought contact versus a perception. Kind of hard to separate the two, a thought contact and a perception, because I'm kind of thinking a perception is thought and a perception is feeling. I guess I'm just trying to make a distinction, really, what a perception is as opposed to a thought.
Yeah, your question is very fair because one time when Buddha was questioned whether these things, contacts, feelings, consciousness, thoughts, or volitions, whether they are separated or whether they are together. When Buddha was questioned, Buddha answered, they are not separated. They are together. They arise at the same time. When contact arises at the same time, feelings arise, perceptions arise, thoughts arise. The simultaneously, a stream of mentality, these mental factors arise at the same time. So it's not easy to distinguish between them. But Buddha teaches in order for us to explore each and every arising factor, Buddha has analyzed them with wisdom. So it's only by wisdom one can divide them, or one can separate them. Okay, this is contact, this is feeling, this is perception, this is craving, like that. If we don't analyze them with wisdom, there is no way that we are going to understand them. That is what happened to us, because when these things um, arise simultaneously, so we don't analyze them one by one, cause and effect of each um, arising. Altogether, we consider them as mind. This notion of mind, this misunderstanding of myself happens because of that the recognition of whole thing we call me, I am, myself. So it's only with wisdom one has to separate them. So if you think about the thinking process, as Rob was questioning, so we can understand when there are thoughts in our mind, right?
Right.
So that's a simple thing, right? We can understand we are thinking about different things. So those are thoughts. So how do these thoughts arise? Then we go one by one, we go backward, like to see behind. Okay, so the thinking is the result. So how do think these thoughts arise? Like when we are looking at something, it is our seeing process. We see visual objects. When we hear something, it's our hearing process. But when it comes to the thinking process, it's not the visual object. It's not the sound. It's not the smell. It's already gone. We saw something and now the contact changed. Now we no longer pay attention to that visual object. Now we recognize a sound. And it is with the new contact arising. That is the ear contact. So whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch then becomes an object for the mind. When we think about that object, which we saw, which we heard, which we smelled, which we tasted, which we touched, now is a mental object. Because every time when we see something, when we hear something, when we take these objects through our five senses, that become an object for the mind. So that is called a thought. But in this case, thought is considered as an external factor. So when we try to understand the contact which arises in each sense faculty, there should be three factors, right? Three things come together. So the first one is called the internal factor. That is always the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. This is called internal factor, internal sense faculty. And always there should be an external sense faculty, and that is called the object. Visual object, sound, smell, taste, tangible, or thought. So see that thought in this case is considered as external factor. These two are not enough. There should be the awareness factor, the cognizing factor. That is the consciousness of the mind. When these three things come together, internal faculty is the mind, external faculty is the thought, and the consciousness. When these three things come together, we call it mind contact. With the mind contact, perceptions arise. Even though when we analyze them, we consider it is, there are two things, contact and perceptions. We should not think that perception arises after the arising of contact. We should not think that way. That is wrong. The right way to think is, with the arising of contact, perception arises. With the arising of mind contact, perception of thoughts arises. That's how it works.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. The same way we investigated about feelings. We should not think feelings arise after contact arises. We shouldn't think that way. That is wrong. The correct way to think is with the arising of contact, feelings arise simultaneously. Because this process is very fast, we cannot understand it. Oh, this is the cause, this is the result, this is the cause, this is the effect. We cannot see it with this ordinary knowledge. That is why we develop vipassana, insight, with the help of mindfulness, awareness, precepts, with so many other wholesome qualities. We try to develop this mindfulness. Eventually it will enable us to see how cause arises and how effect arises. Cause effect. That is why it is called the cause and effect mechanism. Paticca samuppada, dependent arising or dependent origination. To see that, one needs a lot of practice. That's what we are doing here.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah, so it's a deep thing. So we are in the deep Dhamma class, right? So we should change the name of the class from deep Dhamma class to patient class. Because to understand the deep things, we especially need lots of patience. Patience, yeah.
Determination.
Yeah, determination and also practice, you know. Eventually practice is what matters.
Thank you, Bhante.
Good. Any other questions?
Namo Buddhaya Swami Mahansa.
Mm-hmm.
Namo Buddhaya Swami Mahansa. Swami Mahansa, it's clear, I mean, to some extent, the thinking process, the thoughts, how they arise, I can understand. But Swami Mahansa, is there a way to see your mind? Like Swami Mahansa, now the feelings also, you know.
The way we don't need to see the mind. What we need to see is the impermanence of the mind.
Okay, Swami Mahansa.
So that's the path to end suffering.
Okay, Swami Mahansa. So it's like because it's together, we cannot see.
Yeah, that's why we do analyzing them with wisdom.
Okay, Swami Mahansa. So
yeah, keep practicing. One day you will see the impermanence.
Yes, Swami Mahansa.
Patient class.
Yes, Swami Mahansa.
Okay.
So what you say, Swami Mahansa, we cannot sort of like separate the mind, right? It's the like.
Yeah, it's only done by wisdom. Yes, only done by wisdom.
Yes, Swami Mahansa, it's like only the thoughts, right? You see, mostly you can get an idea about the thoughts that you get. But never this mind, I don't know.
Yeah, mind. There are similes for the mind. Buddha teaches mind is bodiless.
Yes, I mean, it's
Durangamang, mind goes far away to us. Ekacharang.
Asarirang guhasayang.
Yeah, asarirang guhasayang. It is bodiless. It lives in this body. If someone trains the mind, he will gain happiness. If someone guards the mind, he will gain happiness. Like that, right? So for sure, even though we cannot see, we can be sure that there is a mind.
Yes, that's true.
And if you think about a tree, there is no mind there.
No.
You think about a car, about a building, there is no mind there.
Yes.
But all the human beings have minds, animals have minds, heavenly beings have minds. Okay,
Yes, Swami Hansen.
that's why they suffer. The day we escape from eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind is the day that we are going to attain ultimate happiness. To do that, you cannot say, okay, if eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind is the problem, let me commit suicide and everything is gone, everything finished. So that's the ultimate happiness.
No, Swami Hansen.
No, that is not the path to attain the cessation of senses. The path is the Noble Eightfold Path. It is a practice.